So we have done addition, we have done simplifying, we've done addition, subtraction, and now we're going to do multiplication. The trick that's starting to happen now is when you start to learn more things, they can get all mixed up. That is the main, and to my, the greatest purpose of the study sheet is for you to start writing down things that help you do better on this stuff. Okay? And what I'm going to do, when I go through this, I'm going to actually point out common problems that students have done. Maybe you're going, oh, crap, that's what I would have done. That's what you need to start doing. Don't do this. It only works for multiplication. This works for just addition. Okay? Now, let's go right down to just here. There's an empty space. And I want to just come up with a rule as a class. You guys have done multiplication of radicals before. Okay? It's in last year's curriculum, so I know you did it. If I had like 2 root 6 times 4 root 3. Okay? Now, can anybody tell me, just putting up your hand, what do you think the answer to this would be? Okay? What would you say it is? 8 root 18. Okay? Now, you're good enough now to know that's not simplified, right? So, what's in 18? Okay, so I've got 8, 9 times 2. Okay? Now, if this is so routine for you, then you're finally at the place that you're good at these. Okay? If right now you're going, oh, wow, I would have never known that, right? You know, you just need to work better or work a little harder on this stuff. Okay, this is coming out to be a 3, right? So the 8 times 3 is 24 root 2. Now, you have to just have a question like that on your study sheet. But with it, I think you should have steps to be able to do multiplication. Now, what do we know about the radicals before we can even multiply them? What do those radicals have to have before we can even multiply them? The same index. Okay? Could I have multiplied those two together? No. Will a couple of you try to do that on the multiple choice? Okay? Now, I think we can all be honest, that person shouldn't be getting 100 on the test. Okay? They don't know their rules. They don't know and that's how this course does change you, like it or not. It takes you to another level where you're always on. You're always looking. It's almost like you're being the devil's advocate. Okay, what are you trying to do in this question? What are you trying to test me on? Okay? And that would be, do you know your rules, right? So I think step 1 is they have to be the same index. Okay? Now, after you've done the same index, we have to multiply these together, correct? Anybody know what those are called? Yeah? Great, good job. So you multiply the coefficients. There's always one person in class that can answer that one. Okay? Right ahead. Okay, and then 3, you would multiply you guys should all know what these are called. Multiply the radicands, right? Okay, and number 4 would be simplify. So make sure the same index. Multiply the coefficients in the front, and then multiply the radicands. Okay? Now, let's just do one more example down here. Let's do D. Oh no, actually I'm going to do A and D. What is root 8 times root 8? Root 64, also known as 8. So root 8 times root 8 equals 8. Now why is that? Now what if it was root A times root A? Wouldn't that be root A squared? What is the square root of something squared? It's that thing, correct? So there's something that maybe you should have in your, because that's going to save you lots of time later. But just be careful, because if you have 3 root 3 times 3 root 3. So we're going to do our own example. You can cross this out so it doesn't get confusing. Huh? How'd you get from there from B? Okay? 3 root 3 times 3 root 3. What's... I can catch so many people on this question. What's 3 times 3? 9. Okay? Now, what's root 3 times root 3? It's 3, right? Did everybody see that? What's root 3 times root 3? It's root 9. What's root 9? 3. So the answer to this would be 27. But what's going to happen is I'm going to answer like, I'll get 3 times 3 will be a common answer to this one, or 9 times 9, which is 81. Okay? There's two things that are going on here. Root 3 times root 3 is 3, but 3 times 3 is 9. So it's actually, you've got to use two different parts of your brain to do that question. 3 times 3 should be in rote memory. That should be pretty deep. But root 3 times root 3, that's the new concept for you. So it's actually, it's weird, but you have to go back and you have to go to today to be able to solve that question. Okay? But you will mix those up if you're not disciplined when you write a test. Okay? Because a question like that, I could separate, students will give me 4 different types of answers. Okay? So just be careful. That's what it's all about, right? Now, let's just do D. I'm going to do my coefficients first. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, and then root 8 times root 12 is 96. Okay? Now you gotta be kind of a little heightened to go, okay, I bet you that's not simplified. Now what's in there? It's 16. So negative 10 equals 16 times 6, right? The 16 comes out to become a 4. So this would be negative 40 root 6. Now, why am I doing this question? It's a lot like the one you did for the example. Actually, it's not. Because there's another way we can do this one. Just write this out again. Negative 2 root 8 times 5 root 12. You'll find that the way I'm going to show you now works way better for those big numbers. 96 isn't a big number. This one was getting easy on you. But they will give you ones that number is so big, you're into a lot of work thinking, what is the perfect square times what? So what you should do is simplify first. Now on this one you're going to go, I don't find that any faster than the other way. Okay, you won't. But on a lot harder ones, you will find them a bit faster and easier to do. Okay, now this would be -2 times 4 times 2, good. And then I've got 5 times 4 times 3. Now, on this one, the 4 comes out to become a 2, so I have -4 root 2 times. This one comes out to become a 2, that is 10 root 3. Now I will do my multiplication, that is -40 root 6. Okay, same amount of steps, in a different order though, but this will save you time on the harder questions. So there's a big or here, but those big questions, they want to suck you into doing the first way. But try to say, okay, I'm going to simplify first. This might be easier. Okay? Okay. What happened there? It's like it messed with my computer. Okay. Now, we're just going to do B and D, or B and C, sorry. Now, this one, you know this thing here? It's in front of the brackets. This means you use the what's called the distributive property. Means I need to multiply to this, and to this. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get sucked into this one, because 45 times 5 turns out to be a pretty big number. But this one might not be so bad to... So we could do it. We could simplify first, or you can do it. Okay? Doesn't matter. So this one, how about we don't simplify first? We'll do it the other way. So if I take those two and multiply these two and multiply them together, what would it be? Say it out to me. 6 root 225. Okay, what's the next one? -16 root 25, which is? What's the square root of 25? Everybody see that? See? Root 5 times root 5 is 5. Got to get good at those. Root A times root A is A. You're writing down this stuff with me. Okay, next one. Six root 100, which is 10. Okay, but what's root 225? Yeah, it is 25 times 9. But you'll find what are 25 and 9? They're both perfect squares. So you'd have to kick them both out. So that would work. Okay, that would work. But you could just, what is square root of 225? 15. So this is the same thing as 6 times 15. Minus 16 times 5 plus 6 times 10. This one is so nice. Gets rid of all radicals. You'll never see this again. So relish it while you can. 6 times 15 is 90. Minus 16 times 5 is 80. Plus 60 is a big 70. Okay. Now C isn't a big deal, but what happens is you have to first see this 2. It is multiplying to these 2 only. What is multiplying on the next one? negative square root 2. And that's what I wanted you to be kind of aware. So maybe we don't have to go through and do this question, but just make sure you remember him or her, whatever you. Okay, we can do it. Okay. Why don't we... okay, Carly, why don't you do this one here? Come on, what do you got to lose? Everything? Well, you put it all on the line. Okay, come on. No. I got all day. Why weren't you guys at the mixer? Oh, Carly wouldn't answer the question. What's 2 times root 3? Yeah, keep going. You're doing awesome. Okay, now the next one. Now, remember, there's ones out front here, and if you want to put them there, it does help a lot. Next one. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Not simplifying, can simplify. Okay, so let's just write these two down again. This would be minus 1. Come on, say it to me. What would it be? 4 times 3. Minus 1. This would be 4 times 5. Okay? Now this one, remember, a 2 is going to come out, and this one, a 2 is going to come out. Okay? So I got 2 root 3 minus 2 root 5. And the other one is going to be minus 2 root 3 minus 2 root 5. Okay. What can we do? Huh? Find like terms. So I got this pair here. What's going to happen to 2 root 3 and negative 2 root 3? Cancel each other out. And negative 2 root 5 and negative 2 root 5? Negative 4 root 5. Now I would put, if this was a multiple choice, I'd put 0 as one of the answers. I'd get a few. Hopefully it's not you. Okay. Now, let's do B. Now, remember with the last objective, you were doing addition, right? So you're going to do perimeter. This one's multiplication, so it's a good question for area. Okay? Now, whenever they give you sides like this, it's this times, or this squared, which means 2 root 18 minus root 27 times 2 root 18 minus 27. But I wouldn't go and do this because you are going to get some big ugly numbers. Simplify first, okay? So, and you'll find that tomorrow on the quiz, some people are going to be done quick and some people are not going to be done quick. And it's because they didn't simplify first, okay? So if you're not simplifying, it takes you longer and you're probably going to make a mistake. So, 2, okay, what's in 18? 9 times 2. What's in 27? Okay? Again, these should start getting extremely redundant for you, and that probably means you know it. Okay? For this one, 3 comes out, right? 6 root 2. And this one, the 3 comes out, right? So that's going to be minus 3 root 3. Okay? So those are a lot easier to work with when I'm going to do 6 root 2 minus 3 root 3. Okay? And then 6 root 2 minus 3 root 3. Okay, Carly? I'm just kidding. Okay. Now, these two here. First, remember FOIL. first, the first ones, then the outers, then the inners, then the last. Now 6 root 2 times 6 root 2. What's 6 times 6? What is root 2 times root 2? Root 4, which is? Okay. Next, this one. So 6 times negative 3, negative 18, and root 2 times root 3, root 6. That's my first, my outers, now my inners. I got negative root 3 times 6, so negative 18, and root 3 times root 2, it's root 6. Now, look at the last two. So I'm doing these two. Negative 3 root 3 times negative 3 root 3. What is negative 3 times negative 3? 9. And what is root 3 times root 3? 3. So I got 36 times 2 is 72. Okay, what is negative 18 root 6 minus 18 root 6? Negative 36 root 6. And 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, so I got 72 times 27, which is big old 99, minus 36 root 6. Got Wayne Gretzky minus 36 root 6. Can I do anything with root 6? Okay. No. It's no perfect square in 6, right? So you're done. Okay. Do you guys think Wayne Gretzky when you hear 99? No? No. You hear my Wayne Gretzky story? Last year, a friend of mine has like the company box at the Rexall. And he's like, yeah, let's take our kids, right? We all have kids the same age and all on the same hockey team, right? So we got 3 boys. They're all friends, and we're going to the hockey game. Oilers preseason, and I'm like, Ty, come on, wear your jersey. He goes, I don't want to wear my jersey. I'm like, come on, man, I'll go to Oilers game. And he goes, I don't want to wear my jersey. So I'm like, fine, right? Who cares? I don't know why, but he gets like that. So he doesn't want to wear his jersey. The other 2 boys, they wear their jerseys, right? So we're at the game, and guess who's in the box right beside us? Wayne Gretzky, right? So my buddy Devin, he's like, probably second intermission. He goes, you know what? What do you got? What do I got to lose? Give me your jerseys, kids, and I'll go ask. Well, my son didn't want to wear his jersey. So goes and asks, and Wayne's like, yeah, sure. So he signs the jerseys right in the front, right? Of course, my son's is hanging at home in a closet, right? The only thing that actually made this all better is that my friend's wife actually put theirs in the washing machine and washed it all up. So I didn't feel so bad after, right? So what's the moral of the story? When something sucks happens to you, it feels so much better when it happens to someone else too. Right? Okay. Now we're going to talk about the word conjugate. Okay? Now, this is a word that it's weird, but in a month from now, we'll hear this word again, and people will be like, what? Conjugate? We've never done conjugates. Just like if I pulled the first class, and half of them said we did multiplying radicals last year, and the other half are like, we never did that. Okay? So this word conjugate is going to really help us out in a couple objectives from now. But right now, we're just learning the concept. Now, these are 2 examples of conjugates. Can you tell me what, by looking at them, what's a conjugate? Yep. Yeah, they will, but just by looking at them, why are they conjugates? Mm-hmm. This better be right or else. This is the only difference, okay? As Carla just pointed out, they are identical except one is plus, the other is minus. See this one here? Same thing. Now, if that, so these two are called conjugates of each other. They're identical except for the middle sign is opposite. Okay? Now who cares? Like, why are we worried about conjugates? Well, you'll see. Okay? Now, why don't we actually go to the next, and we'll see. It says, write the conjugate, and then multiply them. So let's do B. Doesn't matter which one we do, but B looks like the hardest one, so let's do this one. I got negative 3 root 11 plus root 2. What would I multiply that by if it's the conjugate? Negative 3 root 11 minus root 2. Now, whenever you multiply by the conjugate, some nice things happen. Okay? Now, there's two things that most students dread in mathematics. Number one is fractions. Number two is radicals. When I teach students how to be able to, when they do algebra, how to get rid of all fractions, they're like, yay, I hate fractions. I'm glad we got rid of them. And conjugates help get you rid of all radicals every time. Because whenever you multiply by the conjugate, it will get rid of all radicals. Now you'll see. Because all we did was write them out. Let's see how that works. Okay, remember we're going to use FOIL. Now, we're doing first, what is negative 3 root 11 times negative 3 root 11? What's negative 3 times negative 3? 9. 9 times 11. Very good. Because what is root 11 times root 11? Okay. Root 11 times root 11 is root 121, which is 11. Okay? So you can start to see how, oh yeah, this will always get rid of the radical for the first term for sure. Now let's do this one. Let's do inners, right? What is root 2? Now remember there's a 1 here, right? So this will be 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. I don't know why I put two negatives there. Negative 3. And then what's root 2 times root 11? Root 22, right? So you see how we've done the first, now the outers, now the inners are these two. Now, you said, you probably think, you said this gets rid of radicals. I got a radical right there. We'll see what happens here. What is root 2? Oops. I screwed that order up. We're supposed to be doing that's first, then we do the outers. Okay? So if we do the outers, that'll be positive, right? Negative 3 times negative 1 and root 11 times root 2. Now we do the inners. Okay? Do you see how this turns out to be negative 3 root 22? And then what happens to, what's the very last term going to be? What is negative root 2 times root 2? negative 2, right? Okay, this is 99. What happens if I add these two together? They cancel. Minus 2, and this equals 97. So the first thing you'll always see, those two middle terms always cancel. The other thing you'll see is the first term gets rid of the radical, second term, so you'll always get one nice answer for these. That's a 97. Can't you guys read? I'll talk to Miss Yanni about that. Okay. Does this make sense? Now, remember, there's some things you might want to get on a study sheet, right? Tomorrow you might be going, conjugate conjugate, what is that again? That's not good, okay? Now, remember, as you can start to see, I mean, this is going to be, I can feel it in all the classes. This is going to be exam, but I think people are going, okay, this one, I'm going to get that mark up a bit. You can get 100 on this, okay? If you know those basics, because this turns out to be such hard stuff. If you see a 72 and you're like, I don't know a square root in 72. But if you're seeing 36 times 2 like that, okay, these do become so much easier. Okay, so we're going to do basically, we'll do 1 to 15. So, but for 1, 3, 7, and 13, these ones just do the A, C, E, G, ... right? Okay, so let's get right at it.